A very good morning to everybody here, and hopefully some of you were able to see what happened yesterday. We had a superb first day to this event. My name is Ian Tong, and I'm a practitioner in the art of successful management of diabetes, but that's enough about me. What I'd like to do is welcome you all to the global gathering at UCG 2020. First and foremost, I'm here to introduce keynote speakers, and I would like now to pass over to Dr. Aline Nassar from Australia. Aline, over to you.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Aline Nassar. I'm connecting from Sydney, Australia. Unlike probably where most of you are, connecting from, it's very cold here. So I'm wearing a skivvy and I have the heater on. So that's a change. And of course, it's good morning for you and good evening for us as well. Would you like me to start with my presentation?
Sorry, Aline, yes, please. Do you know,
okay.
to share screen?
Yes, yes, I will.
Share.
Okay.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry, I will go on mute now.
So, again, hello. And I'm Aline, and I am the Chief Executive Officer and Board Chairman of Stoke Sydney, Australia. We are a consulting and training organization specialized in capacity building and organizational excellence. I want to start by thanking UCG for inviting me to keynote speak and express how happy I am to address you all today. So let's start our journey, our learning experience on emotionally intelligent coping strategies in times that we live now, times of uncertainty. So just to put the objectives on a slide to follow what we're going to be discussing together, we're going to start reviewing the science of emotions, and we're going to move to discussing the emotional intelligence competence. We're going to highlight on stress and its impact on the body and the mind. Then we're going to move to discussing resilience. We're going to simulate some resiliency skills and discuss how we deal with uncertainty and drill some coping mechanisms. We're going to utilize simulation learning as experiential means to practicing. So I believe the UCG administration have sent you some handouts to this presentation. There are few exercises, simulation exercises in this presentation, but given the situation now and we cannot do exercises live, I'm just going to explain each exercise and each activity, and then maybe later you can do them, and please share them with your colleagues, with your staff. They're quite powerful. So emotions. When we hear good news, different people react to good news differently. The same applies to bad news. Our bodily reactions, our emotions, we just simply react differently, and that's a fact. We're going to start with an emotions activity. This is a very nice activity. Unfortunately, we cannot do it now, but how it goes is that in the first part of the activity, we write down to the left side of the activity 5 pleasant emotions. The first 5 pleasant emotions that come to your mind, just state them, write them down. And then to the right side, similarly, but this time 5 unpleasant emotions. After doing that, please move to part 2 and describe briefly the behavior or the decisions you've made that followed experiencing those emotions. And then compare between, in part 2, between the left side and the right side of the table, and just try to connect how pleasant emotions were followed by specific ways of behavior and activities, and similarly unpleasant emotions. The purpose of this activity is to put in front of our eyes to show us how when we experience pleasant emotions, that impacts our behaviors and decisions positively. On the other hand, when we're undergoing unpleasant emotions, the impact probably is less desirable. Let's just review the science of emotions. So something happens, any kind of stimulus, activity, event happens. The emotional brain wakes up and assesses the situation. If it's a nice feeling, a pleasant emotion, the emotional brain is satisfied. If it's an unpleasant emotion, then the emotional brain is not satisfied. The emotional brain sends a message to the thinking brain, telling it how it feels. It's a good feeling or it's not a good feeling. The thinking brain then behaves accordingly. If it's a pleasant emotion, the thinking brain becomes very open, creative. We get lateral thinking, open to ideas, very pleasant people. If it was an unpleasant emotion, automatically the thinking brain becomes limited, disengaged, narrow. I don't want to talk about it. I can't think straight now. I'm so upset. I'm so stressed, not happy with what happened. Both those feelings would impact our decisions and behavior. The science of emotional intelligence started with Meyer and Salovey. In 1990, they defined emotional intelligence as our ability to perceive, access, understand, and regulate our emotions. Daniel Goleman, who was working as a reporter, came across Meyer and Salovey's articles. It grabbed his attention, and this is how his work started. And he developed his emotional intelligence theory and his book. So his theory has 4 arms. The first one is the self-awareness. I'm aware of my emotions, I acknowledge them, and I regulate them. The social awareness, which is the awareness of others. In other words, the empathy. I'm aware of their emotions and I behave with them accordingly, taking their emotions into consideration. Relationship management is staying connected with those people, but it's of course based on self-awareness and social awareness. So building and maintaining those relationships, those healthy relationships, and being able to self-control, manage my own emotions, manage my own behavior, and my own decisions impact my relationship. It is a fact that we all like to be in control of our lives. It's the time when we feel that we are at the mercy of a specific situation, we automatically react. But why is that? Why do we react? We cannot anticipate the future, and we don't know what's going to happen next. Just like now, so many things are changing and so many things are happening. We don't know what's happening next. We don't know. Today we're working from home. tomorrow it's all right to go to the office, then we're back to lockdown, and a lot of things change very quickly, and we cannot tell what's going to happen next. So we're not in control, and that's not an easy feeling. So we get stressed. What is stress? Stress is our body's way of responding to change, any change, big or small. Stress is triggered when we sense this threat to our comfort zone, to our way of living. Any change that changes, any change that impacts what we're comfortably doing every day gives us stress. So our body, in defense, automatically and very quickly responds, trying to protect us, of course. This automatic response, which is known as fight or flight response, tells our body to either hang on and win over stress, or just run away, give up, and let stress overpower us. What is the impact of stress on us? When we're stressed, our emergency stress system is activated. And the more stress we have, the easier it gets triggered. And it becomes harder to shut off when we are under continuous, unhandled, or unaddressed stress. So if we look at the stress performance curve, and we look at the relation of stress level to our performance, when there is very minimal stress, very little stress, or no stress at all, we're basically inactive, laid back, happy, doing things the way we're comfortable doing. When stress increases a bit, which is the healthy stress or the optimum stress, we're active, we're motivated, we have a project we're working on, we're just pumped, we want to finish it, accomplish, meet our goals. But when stress increases more and starts getting too much, we start getting tired. And as stress increases, we get more tired and exhausted. We reach to a point that stress is still increasing. And remember how our emergency system is harder to shut off now. So some people panic, others get anxiety. A group of people get angry and upset with the level of pressure and stress they're under. And if stress continues to increase, we reach to the point of burnout or breakdown. And of course, this continuous unaddressed stress affects our body and our mind, but it specifically affects systems in our body. And these would be the symptoms that most of the people would get when they're stressed. A lot of us get the tension headache. We get anxiety. We find it very difficult to concentrate and process information. We're nervous, we get palpitations, and we feel drained, like there's no energy. And although there is no energy, it still is very difficult to fall asleep at night. We get insomnia. Some people get the emotional eating, others just lose their appetite. And a lot get different kinds of aches, like stomach ache, muscle ache, problems with the digestion. Some people get the diarrhea, others constipation, and a lot of people get skin conditions like urticaria, and all of these would be symptoms of stress that different people get. When the stress continues to be unaddressed, these symptoms increase. And if it's not handled, it might lead to depression. So we enter into this harmful stress vicious cycle. So the more stress, the more symptoms, the more affected we are, body and mind, We are very stressed because of what's happening with us physically as well. And it's a vicious cycle that we get kind of locked in. So the uncertainty due to change, like we said, a lot of things change. On top of being in lockdown, for example, if I want to use our current time as an example, we're working from home. Yes, it's nice to work from home, but everybody else is at home and we need to do the homeschooling and we can't see our family and friends. We can't go out, we're isolated. On top of that, all of the infection control measures and the sanitizers and the hand washing and disinfecting the shopping bag. It's just simply a different way of living that is very intense and draining. Add to that the crippled economy. So we're very worried and concerned. We're uncertain. We don't know what's going to happen next. We have a lot of questions. What if, what if, what if? Is this ever going to be back to normal? So we start getting scared. We overreact and we become overprotective. Like, I wouldn't let the girls go out with me grocery shopping. There is no way. When I come back with all these grocery bags, I put them in the garage, I spray them, they can't get near them. I stand there, guard them for the time that they're in the garage, the shopping bags I'm talking about. And I empty everything and I wipe it. And it's all of these extra things that we need to do to protect ourselves and our family members. We have a lot of anxiety, of course. We panic as well. We try to shield ourselves and our loved ones. And if we feel we're not successful, and if we can't or don't know how to handle all this stress, we might end up breaking down. Now it's time for help. Of course, as human beings, we do not have the full control on what we feel, but we definitely, for sure, can influence how we feel by managing our feelings and emotions, of course. Excuse me. So those skills that allow us to manage our emotions, direct our emotions, probably transform our emotions, are called the emotion regulation skills. I believe our emotions have a domino effect on us, and I'm going to show you how.
Everybody knows about playing with dominoes, but what you may not know is that a domino can knock over another domino, which is about 1.5 times larger. So what I have here is a chain of dominoes. Each one is 1.5 times larger than the previous one. And the smallest domino is about 5 millimeters high and 1 millimeter thick. And I will carefully place it. And there are 13 dominoes, and the largest domino, it weighs about 100 pounds, and is more than 1 meter tall. Ready? Boom. That was 13 dominoes. If I had 29 dominoes, the last domino would be as tall as the Empire State Building.
So when we get to the point that those small emotions that are undesired pile up and become too much and have a domino effect on us, on our behavior, on our decisions, on our daily lives, we need to find solutions for that. And if there's no solution, we need to construct one. Because there's no way out of it if we're not in control of our emotions. The very first important thing is that we need to acknowledge, know how we feel. We sometimes try to say, no, I'm fine, I'll do well, I'm okay. It's good sometimes to think and give courage to yourself, but it is essential to acknowledge when you're under stress, when you're not feeling okay. Work very hard, find ways and solutions to manage your emotions, because that would impact our reactions and our behavior. For example, if I'm having a very stressful day and someone walks into the office and asks me something that I believe probably is not a priority for me, what would my first reaction be? There will be a reaction, versus if I'm having a beautiful day and it's just the best day ever on earth. Anything, you can ask me anything and I'll say yes for it. Is that true? It is also very important to transform those undesired emotions into productive ones. I was giving this session, but the big version, the workshop of this session, to a group last week, and one of the participants shared an example which relates here and is very true. When she is stressed, she gets very creative. She gets very creative ideas when she's stressed. So she basically transformed her undesired emotions into a productive one, which is brilliant. She knows how to regulate her emotions. So transforming those undesired ones into desired ones, which are desired emotions, is very important, is a very important step in managing and coping. So these emotions are very essential to managing stress. Our emotions are very important in our life, our daily lives. How about in times of crisis? They're even more important and more significant. How we understand and use these emotions is definitely essential. Now we're going to be explaining an activity that you will probably be doing later on. This activity is heat stress before it eats you. And what we're going to be doing is writing down 3 of the most disturbing feelings that you often get. After that, please, you need to write, how does it make you feel when you get these disturbing feelings? Then answer, how do you know that you're feeling stressed? And what do you do when you feel stressed? In part 2 of this activity, I'd like you to write down what your best 3 strengths are and try to match these 3 strengths to the disturbing feelings, each strength to a disturbing feeling. And then try to answer how you can utilize your strength to combat the matched feeling. Dealing with change and uncertainty is very important, since it's not possible to predict our future with certainty. The only thing we are capable of doing is controlling the process through which we get to those decisions, through which we handle stress. Acknowledging and fully accepting the situation is very important. It is the base. Always try to prepare for the unexpected. Or we say, this is my plan, but I have a plan B, and if this didn't happen, I know what I can do. So just be prepared for what's unexpected. Let your focus be on the future. Yes, this is what's happening now. It's a given, it's a fact. But if I focus on what's happening now, which is stressing me, which is full of uncertainty and full of pressure and stress, I will not be able to move on. So focusing on the future, planning for the unexpected, planning for the future helps me cope better. And the planning that we do is what's gonna get us ready to handle the unexpected, or at least to handle what's happening now. Although it's very essential to recognize pressure and stress, however, it is critical to develop those strategies, those techniques, those ways to help us cope. Adopting the mindset that we can be in control and we are able to manage no matter what is very important. We cannot give up on ourselves. We can't say, no, that's it, nothing can be fixed. No, we need to always believe that there is a way. There's a way somewhere out there. We just need to go out and find it. But we will be able to manage. Just that mindset switch helps us start accepting and moving forward. So if I just want to do a quick recap, there is stress. As stress increases, it affects us. If we don't address it and handle it, then we're going to get into that harmful vicious cycle, and it's going to affect our body as well and systems. We accept our current situation, focus on the future, try to plan so we can move on and address those stressors of us. That is coping. Now, resilience is a step further. I've put the Connor-Davidson resiliency scale, specifically the version CD Risk 10, because it's a short version. It's only 10 questions, and it's very reflective of our resiliency score. So all of you have that in the handouts, and it's always good to assess yourself and be objective in assessing yourself. You're not sharing the score with anyone. It's just for you to know where you stand. And the total score will be out of 40. The closer to 40 you are, the more resiliency you have. So resilience is that strength that is inside us. It's there, it's inborn. It enables us to recover from trauma, from stress that we experience. That ability that helps us develop those coping strategies to reverse the negative effects of stress. And not only that, not only cope, not only reverse, but stand up again and move forward. So that ability to cope under pressure and manage stressful situations will make us less vulnerable to stress. We'll be able to successfully deal with issues and overcome disadvantages that we face and do well despite the challenges we face. And more importantly, keep going and even do better. This is what we say, I've learned from experience, from this experience. Oh, I'm so experienced. I've been there, done that. I've been under so much stress and pressure, and I know how to handle it. This is where it comes from. As ambiguity can be very stressful, resilience is that protective process. So if we think of it as the protective process, that is the start of the change in the mindset that I can do it. Because I know stress is a fact, and I know that I'm going to be impacted by stress, but I also know that there is something that's going to protect me. But I need to work on developing it. I need to work on boosting it so it can protect me well. And that would be resilience. I would like to think of resilience as an inborn natural drive to stand up after tripping over. What's the first thing we do when we fall, when we trip? We just stand up. So that's resilience. But if we don't decide to stand up, if we decide to stay on the floor, we won't be able to stand up. It's our decision to stand up again is resilience. And the more you practice resilience and boost it, the more automatic it becomes. I also think of resilience as a spring. The more you press it down, the farther it bounces to recover and stand up again. You think it's easier said than done? Remember these steps. Acknowledge your feelings and emotions. Know your strengths. And make sure that that mind-body connection is correct, is right, which is always see the positive in a situation, not the negative in a situation. Look for the positive side. If you can't find it, look more. It's very important not to keep feelings in, not to internalize, not to numb feelings, because we don't have a choice. We can't just decide to numb those negative feelings or those disturbing emotions, because we're going to numb all feelings together. So express those feelings and work on managing them in a positive way. Oopsie, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened here. Sorry for that. Trust your wisdom and your capacity to grow stronger from each stressful experience. Adopt that resilience mindset. Trust yourself and say, yes, I can, and I'm going to try and persevere. Don't give up on yourself. It just takes practice, and it gets easier with practice. So resilience is the guard of the body and mind. But if we don't take action, we cannot raise over the stress, and we cannot unchain ourselves from the stress. So taking action is essential. We regain our balance through resilience because it helps us cope better under pressure, it helps us recover from difficulties, and it helps us continue to deliver in the best way possible. And always remember, you cannot give what you don't have. So many times we find ourselves comforting others, our loved ones, our family members, our staff. It's going to be fine. Things will work out the way you want them to. So we do that a lot. And how can we help people cope and overcome difficulties if we cannot do it ourselves? When faced with these stressful circumstances and situations, coping is that bridge between the challenges, the standing up, and the moving forward. Always remember, when you feel that you're about to give up, that you've just had it, you can't take it anymore, just think, I always try to help others. How can I help others if I can't help myself? I need to think positively. I need to remember that I'm strong, I need to find those strong areas in me to help me overcome the stress that I'm under. So as a quick recap, building resilience by focusing on solutions. We're faced with problems. We're very frustrated, stressed, upset. All those negative thoughts come to our mind. The more negative thoughts we have, the more problems we get into, and the more frustrated we are. And there goes the harmful, vicious cycle. In order to break this cycle, we need to gain control on how we approach the problem. We need to find solutions, and once again, if we can't find them, we need to create them. Adopting the resilience practices requires a change of attitude and habits. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Those techniques do not have to be complicated. They can be simple ones. And simple ones can be very powerful. Because if I'm using simple techniques to overcome stress, then, and they're impactful, so I'm less stressed, they're helping, I'm more positive. But if I had that big plan for those very complicated techniques, and they're very complicated, they're not easy to implement, and then they definitely won't have a positive impact on overcoming stress. So I feel like, no, it doesn't work, I'm stressed, nothing's gonna work. So they defeat their purpose. On the contrary, when we have small things that help us overcome the stress, we'll feel more comfortable. I'm trying to think of a few examples that I want to share with you, but just a very
Aline,
quick example. Yes, I'm sorry.
Aline, unfortunately, we have gone over the allotted time and we are very, very tight here. I do apologize, but could I ask you to close your presentation off? It is most important, otherwise we're going to get so out of hand. Sorry.
Sure. So we're not gonna share my story. So there's this practice mental simulation activity that you have on you. It's very clear. It sets the step, and it's good to just do it at home. The one message that I want to give you before I close is do not ignore your pain. Be understanding towards yourself when you suffer or fail or feel restricted. So these basically would be repeat in order not to run you through them. I just want to leave you with a final message. I like what Albert Einstein said. In the mindset of every crisis lies a great opportunity. And the deeper the crisis, the better the opportunity. But that all depends on how we look at it. And Maya Angelou said a very powerful statement. I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be reduced by it. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Aline. You've been